Theresa.
Hello.
Hello. So good to have you. So good to have you today. Thank you for being here. So, you are, Theresa, working as a human potential coach, right? And you are also the founder of Infusion, a leadership consultancy business, helping others in their careers. But before that, you had an interesting career in management, several retail companies. And before you started your business, you were working for major retail brand, one of the most successful companies in the world. You had a leadership role. You were managing teams. You had a permanent job with a lot of secondary benefits. You were working for Nike, of all companies, right?
Yeah.
What triggered you to change?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say it was a slow build-up of triggers. You know, at some point things didn't start to feel right anymore for what my, let's say, values were, or what interested me in life, and where I saw my future going. So I was already, I did already a coach education many years before. And I applied that in my job as much as I could, but at some point I felt like I wanted to impact people outside this corporate structure. Because people come with all kinds of questions, right? And when you work in human resources, but there is a certain point where you can't impact them, right? Because you're not their life coach. You are an HR human resources partner. So that built up. So there was this like slight feeling of, hey, I'm not so fulfilled. And at that time already I started to do other things on the side, and I really enjoyed that. I started to work also in the music industry a bit as a writer, and these kind of things. And then I reached that point, and I think that was around second half of the pandemic, where I felt like, okay, actually I want to live a different life, and I want to build something new. So yeah. But it was a build-up, but then it was really spontaneous, and it was within one day. And I said, okay, I'm leaving without something new.
You left without something new?
I left without something new.
Wow. And for how long was that build-up, and for how long were you doing coaching trainings while you were actually still working for Nike?
Oh, wow. I always did my coaching educations, etc., next to my full-time job. Already the company I worked before Nike, this is when I actually did my first coaching education, and that lasted for, I think, 2 years or something. So that was the build-up, I would say. I always was somebody who wanted to learn more and to do it on the side.
And okay, resigning without knowing what to do, without an alternative, how did that feel?
I woke up in the morning and said, like, what the heck did you do? It felt really, really strange. And I had a slow transition out, so I reduced my hours first, and then at some point it was it was final. And then it felt really, really strange. I felt very unproductive, as if I wouldn't have anything to contribute. I was so used to this 70 hours per week working life, traveling, kind of, a lot of stress. Although I didn't feel stressed actually at the end. I was actually really bored in my job to some extent. But I felt like useless.
Wow.
At first. So it took me a couple of months to really digest the last years in the corporate world, and then kind of building up myself new. And I just experimented then.
And then how did, or what were the main milestones of resigning from Nike, from the leadership role, into I'm the founder of Infusion?
Again, it was a slow transition, and I think that's also for everybody who wants to make a change. We always think like you take one step and then you are suddenly at the but in fact you cross a bridge and that takes time, step by step by step, right? So you try something and then it doesn't really work out the way you want. You start to partner with people. Maybe that doesn't feel right, or it doesn't. So it's really a process. But I guess there were a few things that I was trying out, where I was first also skeptical to do that. So for example, I was asked like if I want to support an artist in management, and I kind of waited for a long time to say yes. Then I did that, and then I did that also for 1.5 years, and I really enjoyed it. But it's more that it all kind of somehow weaved into things. So I tried to use my skills in different fields, and Infusion somehow is the roof for that. I think this is the best way to explain it.
And tell me, how is your day-to-day and the type of people that you help, and how do you help them?
So the type of people that I help are usually, I call them high-functioning humans. And it's not a certain kind of a person from a certain career, or from a certain field. I have people that work in human resources. I have musicians. I have personal trainers. Like it's a very broad field of people. And how do I help them? I think it's very individual. But I guess the most focus is to help them to get in tune with themselves, to slow down. And I have different practices and how I do it. I also work with legally available psychedelics, for example, for the people that want to try that. But also I work with several coaching techniques and somatics, but to help people to get it somehow back in touch with themselves. Because our whole life, and if we have like these careers, sometimes they bring us further away from ourselves than we actually are. We get trained to think a certain way, to talk a certain way, to think about careers in a certain way. The only way is up. It's never the only way is to the side, or maybe sometimes in a completely different field, right? So my work is oftentimes to help people reconnect with themselves and what's actually them, rather than to live out a certain expectation or program.
And in your own transition, what were some of the challenges that you have experienced?
I think it's a bit what I said earlier. I thought like, okay, now you're like on your own, and so you have your company, and then the company will just go. No, that doesn't work like that. Little did I know how much of a social media marketing salesperson you have to be if you run your own freelancing business nowadays. I learned a lot about social media, how to do it, what not to do. So that was one of the biggest challenges. Then how do you get, if you need it, but I think people also thrive on approval. How do you get approval? Because you do good work, but sometimes it's not necessarily visible. And you are used to have like, oh yeah, when you do good work, you get a salary increase. Well, that's not necessarily the case as a freelancer, and for sure not in the music industry. You work at a very different salary level. So to also disconnect a sense of worth with a certain kind of salary or numbers. I think that was a challenge that I had to, well, like a mindset shift I just had to do. I would say those were the two main challenges. I guess also you feel in a company, you feel like really protected somehow. You're one of many. Or you are maybe exposed in your team, but if you work in a company with over 70,000 employees, like if you are your own brand, so to say, your own company, you are seen at a very different level. And sometimes you feel really naked in a way, right? It's very much out of your comfort zone. Like when I had to first record like a video for Instagram to talk about my services, it was hell, right? I felt so exposed in a way, and yeah. So I think that was my biggest challenge, and probably still is.
I often ask people, who are you without your job title? So who is Theresa without the job title?
I'm a passionate human that loves to be on this earth and tries to contribute positively. That comes to mind as first.
And impacts others in the process, impacts others in the yeah. So what is your what are your professional what do you want to achieve professionally now?
Well, I rebuilt completely my sense of what achievement is. I guess I want to impact people in a positive way. I would like to help people understand on how you can live a meaningful life that is aligned with you, where you are not react only to what's coming to you from the outside. So there is something around education that I try to achieve, if that's a good word. But we don't know sometimes how to deal with our body. We don't know how to work with our mind. And there's a lot of education in this field still. And I think that is something that I'm really focused on also at the moment. To bust a couple of myths, maybe. But I don't have this goal, this plan. I mean, you know, sometimes I have this, okay, I want to give retreats in the future, etc. But it will all come as time comes, you know, and the time is right, it will happen.
And as a professional in the corporate world, in human resources, did you ever have a career plan?
Yeah, I had tons of them. I guided people through career plans. I helped them make some, and I had certainly one of my own that was diligently looked after by the talent management function. And I never got any job, or I never, landed in any of the jobs that I had on this list. So somehow life takes a different turn, opportunities showed up at different times, I felt more called to do different things. So I learned that a plan is a good source of inspiration and guidance. But once you get attached to it, you start maybe not living life. Right? You know, it's just like, oh, I need to fulfill this plan, I need to have this job. And but somebody said to me at some point, it was, the most important job is the job you have now. And that still stuck with me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh. You mentioned several times you had to learn about social media, you had to learn about becoming a business owner. Now you talk about how you want to impact and educate now in the, for example, about your own bodies and taking care of yourself. Do you also think, or what is the role of learning? Does it have are you proactive in the sense of I want to go into, are you proactive in what you need to learn or in what you need to develop? Do you have a continuous learning mindset?
For myself or
for yourself?
For others?
For yourself.
Yes, for me, obviously there is things I want to work on or where I want to grow that are probably not so different from what a lot of other people would say. You know, be more kind with ourselves, be more gentle with ourselves, have more self-trust. These kind of things. I think those are common themes. But yes, I am always a very curious person and want to learn. Now, learning is not only cognitively understanding and information, right? It's also living it. And at the moment, I'm very, like, I learned a lot through the educations I did in the last couple of years. And for me now is really the living it, the integration of it, the day-to-day application of it. Because in fact, we don't learn by reading a book, we learn by experience, right? So we can know everything. So I work a lot also in the field of how to manage your stress levels, right? How to have a mind. We can say so many things and we know all of it, but do we apply it? Yeah, and sometimes I have to take a sip of my own medicine, right? And say like, hey, what would you tell your client now? It's like, okay, probably to slow down. So, yeah.
Theresa, you mentioned that the levels of stress, and we know that a lot of corporations are going through reorganizations. And what would you tell someone who is going through an unplanned layoff or an unplanned exit and is really, I don't know where to start, I don't know what to do, and experiencing all of those mixed emotions that come with those processes?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, there's so many things one could say. The first thing is take care of yourself. Do the things that feel good for you. And I'm not talking about escapism, you know, but I talk about check in with yourself where you are actually at in that in that whole process. The second thing is those layoffs are not personal, and we tend to take them oftentimes personal. We sometimes get very attached to our corporate jobs, to our corporate lives, right? And the question you asked earlier is like, who are you when you're not your job? A lot of people, they don't know that. Yeah. So to be very attached with a company, and you know, all those big brands tend to create that with people. I was very attached to Nike. I had to basically un-Nikify myself at a certain point. So I was able to talk with other companies. And so I think it is also about, hey, what am I attached to here now? To ask yourself, is it the security? Or is it really the job? And to go from there and to really not take it personal. It is you know, I've led many reorganizations in different fields, and it's the nature of how economy works.
Yeah.
You know, people are hired when they're needed, and if the bottom line is not big enough, people are laid off. And it's not nice, and it's a really tough process that is most of the time not managed well by companies. But it is almost like a law of nature in capitalism that we have to accept that our job can end at any time. So I can only recommend for people to take always good care of themselves and to stay close to themselves, and not to be constantly anxious, but to be secure enough to have a plan B.
Yeah.
I've seen many people working 25 years in a company, and there was no idea, there was no plan B, there was not even an awareness what they enjoy doing. And that I would advise people to get ahead of it, because the layoffs won't end.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So to be proactive and to think in advance of, okay, maybe asking the question, even if I lose my job tomorrow, what happens, right?
Yeah.
That can lead to thinking about your career proactively.
Yeah, and what I also saw, and again, that's like everybody lives their life differently with different values. But what I see, and it impacts careers in a huge way, when I worked also in talent acquisition, or now with people I coach, they have so many things they need to pay in life that it chains them to a certain kind of job that then causes a lot of stress. So this is the kind of people that have kids in the private schools, don't want to need to have like a very senior position to be able to pay for the private schools, to be able to pay. And then, of course, you end up at 90 hours a week, and then you don't spend time with your family. So what is more important? You know, the private school will never be able to compensate for an absent mother or father. And that's, I think, some of the questions people have to ask themselves in terms of careers or healthy careers.
Healthy careers and vision conscious choices. But yeah, it's not always easy, right? Especially when people are on the day to day.
Of course.
So what would be some of the ways that they can do that proactively? Because I think unless something major changes that triggers you to change and triggers you to reflect, like the pandemic or a layoff, then how can professionals think proactively and about their careers? Any ideas or any tips on that?
I mean, there's multiple ways you can approach that. I would say find out what your values are and what matters to you in life, and how you want to feel in your career. So how you want to consistently feel. Do you want to consistently feel, let's say, calm and content? Of course, there's highs and lows and whatever. Or do you want to constantly feel stressed? And many coaches start with, hey, what do you want to achieve? I ask my clients always, how do you want to feel? Because sometimes what we want to achieve feels really, really bad in our bodies.
Wow.
You know, it's, I think I can say that I had a dream job. I had a dream life. I was living in Paris, etc. So there was so many good things. And I got sick. And I pulled through when I got sick, you know, and not to say that my experience is the experience of many others. Every life is different. But I think I should have asked myself sometimes earlier, how do I feel in this whole thing? Is it aligned with me anymore or not? So I work a lot with mindfulness and meditation. So what I would advise for everybody, to check in with themselves, to get closer to themselves and to not get so distracted by what, the outside is shouting at us. Because if we would look constantly at LinkedIn, everybody needs to have like a career like this and nothing else is valid. And that's not real.
Thank you for mentioning LinkedIn, because
my favorite.
LinkedIn it highlights success, and in LinkedIn everything is extrapolated, and it's great. It's great that people share their successes, but in your transition and also with clients that you help, what are some of the things that are common, that are often not mentioned on LinkedIn, that people go through?
Oh, that's a good question. I love that. I think what is very common, and it's visible on LinkedIn but not talked about in LinkedIn, that we feel we need to adapt to a certain kind of talking, being. That is very common. So I receive the question a lot. If I do that, like, how would other people see me? And then I go again, it's like, yeah, but how would you feel if you do that? Never mind the other people. But would you appreciate it if you feel really bad and everybody's clapping around you? Is that the feeling you want? So it's, I think that is something, the perceived expectations of others that are actually the expectations that we have towards ourselves, that we just mirror in others, right?
Yes,
absolutely. So that's what is often not talked about. What is not talked about is the deep insecurity we have sometimes to disappoint people, to fail, to maybe not be liked by everybody. I think that's not often enough talked about. The kind of thoughts you have at 4 a.m. before, you know, before something important, where it's like, oh, what if this doesn't work out? You know, on LinkedIn, there's a kind of cookie cutter principle of, oh, I had this challenge and then I did this and then everything turned out just fine. Yeah, but this is most of the time how life is not working. You know, sometimes things don't turn out fine. Or some, you know, like, and that's also okay.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Nobody tells on LinkedIn, like if you had like, if you organized a workshop where nobody signed up for, I remember I shared that once because it happened to me a few times, and then people say, "Oh, you're so vulnerable." I was like, "Yeah, I want to give you a reality check. This is the reality of somebody who starts a company."
Absolutely. Or if you organize an event and nobody shows up to the event and you need to adjust.
Yeah.
Also, on that of LinkedIn, did you also come across professionals who are afraid of putting maybe not afraid is not the right word, but feel resistance in putting the open to work? They lost a job, but they don't put the open to work. They are searching in confidentiality because of exactly that, of the perceptions of others.
Yeah, I saw a few articles flying by. But to be honest, it's not really something that I faced with my clients. And I'm not a person that gives so much about these online discussions anyway. I think it's important to know for everybody to know what is important, what you want to get out there. If you want a job and you want to change, say it. You know, put it out in the universe, whatever. Of course, sometimes it's a bit trickier if you are in certain kinds of jobs where you are still employed and etc. But then it's also about having a conversation with your manager and saying like, hey, I don't see myself here in the future. Can we have a discussion about that? So it's also about transparency. People try to hide sometimes a lot because of those perceived rejections, etc. But I could advise if you are in need also of a job, put it out there because people might not know. Yeah, it's be clear, I think. People cannot read minds.
No, no. And what are some of the things that you do now that really fulfilled you?
Well, you know, I was first thinking like, so many things have changed, but yes, so many things have changed, but actually nothing has changed. I still enjoy supporting people. Now it's just a different context. Helping people to find a way around their lives, and including professional life. I still do that. I still enjoy that, and I do that since over 20 years now. Professionally, also, I enjoy working with a much more diverse group of people outside corporate. I have met some amazing, interesting people that work from, you know, cybersecurity, artists, social media, a manager, event organizer. It was quite also all age ranges, you know, and I enjoy that. I think the corporate world is oftentimes very, very, how do you say it, not diverse. I always think they are very diverse, but once you work with a 23-year-old creative, it's such a different ball game than working in a culture that is very, you know, some people would say normcore. You know, it's like usually married, 2 kids, relatively the same age group. I work with people that have never worked for a corporation.
Wow.
And I find that interesting. So that's very professionally very fulfilling and also very challenging.
What would be some of the challenges?
Well, I have to be more flexible. I cannot come with a, of course, everybody has their worldview, but you have to empty your worldview when you work with different clients, because it's not about what I think, but about what works for the client and what is their reality. And of course, that also requires practice and skills. And also staying up to date, I'm doing a bit more research, how other people, other generations work, other industries work. Specifically in the HR consultancy field, I come from two companies that were a lot of regulations and a lot of we have to protect the brand, and there needs to be a rule around that, and there's a process that has to be developed. Yeah, try that with a startup, doesn't work. So no. So you have to kind of also, pick up the people from where they are and find other solutions. But I love that. It's interesting, it's not boring. I learn a lot. And sometimes I can bring also from those experiences something to corporates back.
And you still have the opportunity. Are you still working somehow with some corporates?
Yes, I have some corporate clients. Some of my private clients work in corporates. So yeah, it's a good mix.
I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Okay. So one word. Let's try that. Yeah. Okay.
I need to answer with one word.
Try.
Okay.
Then let's adjust. Okay, let's do rapid fire and then
try to challenge.
Rapid fire, whatever comes first.
Okay.
Yeah. Leadership.
Starts with how you lead yourself.
Career.
Not more important than life.
Failure.
Is perception and is information.
Legacy.
Oh. Overrated. It's more important to focus not on what you want to leave behind, but on what you want to bring and how you want to contribute positively in the now. Not to think so much about, oh, I'll be such a good human if I have left that. And in the end, no one really cares. We're not that important to create these big legacies. Try to impact the now. And yeah.
I love that. I have one more that just came up.
Okay. Sure.
Fulfillment.
Fulfillment is not pursued as often as it could be by many people.
Oh, wow. Wow. Theresa, thank you. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you think it's important for someone who is navigating a career transition to know or to hear about or to consider?
I think what comes to mind is that sometimes the process of the navigation, or when you are in the change, is, it is a challenging process, but people will figure it out. Sometimes it's trial and error. What I found the critical point is before you decide to do a change. A lot of people carry that question months, even years, right? And it's like, oh, shall I? And there, I would say, think about what is your talent and what are your transferable skills, because what you're good at, you can be good at in different contexts. It's, and also be not shy to go after what is good for you. You know, put yourself first. And don't mind if your manager will give you a speech and it's like, oh, I'm so disappointed in you that you're leaving. Yeah, well, yes, okay. Thank you for saying that, but this is my life and I want to be fulfilled, you know? It's not personal. And I think some people get really worked up about hurting someone, and you can still take decisions in your life that are powerful in a kind and loving way, and still have good relationships with the people you've worked with before.
I love that. Put yourself first. Yeah.
Yes.
Put yourself first.
And it doesn't need to mean like, oh, give me the salary increase or give me the big... It's like, I want to put my health, my well-being, my fulfillment first. Because if I don't do that, I will impact others for sure negatively. Because if I'm frustrated, well, then it spills in my team, it spills in my home. So there is something around putting your own oxygen mask first, because only then, for the people that want to impact other people positively, only then you will be able to do that. You cannot do that from a point of frustration or perception or lack. That's, I guess, what I would say.
It's amazing. Thank you, Theresa.
Thank you for the invitation.
Oh,
Lovely.
thank you. I hope you have enjoyed today's career conversations, and may they inspire you to align with what you value, choose what you consider meaningful, and thrive at what you do.